Welcome to the family of humankind, our ever-evolving family of kind humans. So last time I talked about 5 things to lean into, and I want to take a few minutes to recap on that, and then jump into the 3 sacred breaths, which are the breath of fire, the cleansing, rebirthing breath, and the relaxing breath. But first, let's jump into 5 things to lean into that I talked about last week. Number 1, lean into the change. There's so much change going on, but you don't want to stop and get hunkered down waiting for it to all be over. You want to keep the momentum going. That's where the great power of life is. Life is always in momentum. So when we keep ourselves in momentum, we keep our own growth going. So change is one of the most powerful ways to create growth in life. And we have extra time now to attend to the things that need to be attended to unravel from ways of being that don't serve and start new wonderful habits that are empowering for us. And of course, all the great and lovely things to continue to grow our skill and our toolkit with that are all online. Number 2, lean into the fear. Lean into the fear. There's nothing wrong with being afraid, but you don't want fear to stop you. And neither do you want to marinate or steep in it too long, because it does lower our frequency, our vibrational resonance, and is very hard on our body, the lower discordant energies. So we know in Buddhism to watch the fear, notice it, and name it, and that is a really valuable thing. And then as a rebirther, the next step is then let's transmute it, because all emotion is energy that actually needs to be moved. Emotion isn't who we are. It is what is on top of our true self, our beautiful soul self underneath. So we'll be going into that in the 3 sacred breaths. So lean into the fear. Don't avoid it. Don't hide from it. And don't shove it down. Number 3, lean into the higher purpose. Keep looking for the higher purpose. We've been cracked open. And as Prem Chodron, beautiful Buddhist monk, 25 years ago, she wrote a lovely book called When Things Fall Apart. Well, things have fallen apart. And when they do that, the things that we don't need any longer can fall away, so new things can arise. So look for the higher purpose to everything, because in the great cracking open, that's where spirit life can shine through. We also call it the silver linings. It's beautiful because, of course, God, life, essence, spirit, source is in and through around everything. It's within us and everyone, every living thing, and all through the space. It's just that it's invisible. So actually, at times like this, when things fall apart, in the great cracking open, it's an opportunity actually to discover, oh my gosh, what has been there all along. So lean into the higher purpose and keep asking yourself, what is the higher purpose to all of this? And not to just all of this, the great coronavirus, but what is the higher purpose in this moment and with this conversation and in this association and in this way I am in the world and this way I do my work. Keep calling that forth, and then we live more in connection with higher purpose. Number 3, lean into this time of going slower. Lean into not speeding up too much. Lean into the spaciousness. Enjoy the spaciousness. Now, this is actually a good one for me because I was in heaven the first 2 weeks, and this 3rd week, life has actually gotten really busy, a little too busy. And because I'm doing sessions online, a lot of work online with people, but also there's all the beautiful community gatherings online and with loved ones and all the Zooms and all the new courses I'm taking, all the new skills I'm honing. And so I notice I'm kind of getting close to the old pace. Not quite, but so next week I'm definitely going to slow it down again. Why? Because we really want to savor this time. Is extraordinary what's going on. And of course, there's a tremendous amount of suffering and loss and fear and grief at the same time. And that's why we use our breath to keep transmuting that so we can keep opening our hearts and being present in the moment to what is so and what our next step is. So for number 4 and for a message for myself, don't get too busy. Lean into the spaciousness and keep the spaciousness going, because this too shall pass, and we don't want to get onto the other side of it and go, oh, gee, I just filled all those days in. I just didn't let myself really savor the possibility of spaciousness. So it's not something we often have in our life. So do savor it. And I will be doing that again along with you and slowing the pace down next week. Number 5, lean into your spiritual practice. Lean into your spiritual practice. This is a time when we can cultivate our spiritual practice. And if you don't have that in your life, it is the great fallback. When anything is going on, we want to come home to ourselves, the place of communing within, and then all the storm can brew around us. But we have a place to come home to. And that is what our spiritual practice gives us. One of the many things is cultivating that place of home is within, and how to rest and deepen that. So I really encourage you to use this time well to strengthen your spiritual practice with yourself. Mornings is a beautiful way. We set the day up and then we take that energy through the day. And then at the evening time, we want to cleanse the day, have something else at the end of the day to cleanse the day and to go into a sweeter, more relaxing sleep. So those are the 5 to lean into at this time. So now I'd like to jump into the 3 sacred breaths. And the first one, as I mentioned, breath of fire and the cleansing, rebirthing breath and the relaxing breath. So number 1, the breath of fire. There's numbers of ways of doing this. Sometimes the breath of fire is through the mouth and sometimes it's through the nose. Whenever we breathe through the mouth in a vigorous way, it always brings us down into our body. When we breathe through our nose, it takes us out through the top of our head. So we'll do both of those. So the first one, the breath of fire through the mouth, is like a sound. You let your mouth be relaxed, not to purse it. Let it be relaxed. But it's like a whooshing sound through the mouth. And we, with the breath of fire, this one, with mouth breathing, we pump our tummy. We're pumping our tummy in. I don't think you can see from here. Maybe if I tip a little more. We're pumping our tummy in. So we pull our tummy in on the breath and let it drop out on the exhalation. We pull our tummy in to almost really as if we were wanting to touch our spine at the back. We're pulling it right in. And in that way, we pull through the triangle of our internal organs. So in and out through the mouth, the emphasis is on the in-breath but it's a blowing out. The emphasis on the out breath with the blowing out. like that, okay? So sitting tall and on your tailbone, your pelvis slightly tipped backwards. I like to have my hands on my knees. You can be in a mudra with your fingers if you like. And we'll just go for a few minutes with it and pulling your tummy in as you breathe out. Here we go. Lick your lips. Relax that out. Now you might start to feel a little tingly all through your tummy and actually things moving in your tummy from that, which is very, very good. This is very good for digestion and really an important breath in our toolkit of spiritual resources. As I say, it activates the digestive system, and if you're not eating the right things for yourself, it gets clogged up and makes everything very hard to move through. So it's an important breath, a lovely way to finish with your yoga practice for the day, or at any point in your practices. Now the breath of fire through the nose, which I adore and love and use a lot as a basic through the day energizing breath. It's through the nose, which means, as I was saying, takes us to the top of our head. It opens up through our upper centers, our third eye, our brow point, our all-seeing eye of God, and through the pituitary, the pineal, up through our chakra, the seventh chakra, which then connects us up to our mighty ion presence, up through our, first our higher mental body, then up through our mighty ion presence, and then out to the great universe. So the thing with this one is don't worry about what your tummy is doing, because we're going to visualize instead. You want to visualize this point, see light in this point. We'll do this with our eyes closed and feel the sense of the top of your head opening up and connecting with your higher mental body above your head. And you can go right up into your mighty ion presence and out if you like. Our mighty ion presence is maybe about 6 feet up from us. Our higher mental body is a foot to 6 feet up from us. Our higher mental body comes down as we give attention to it, as we meditate on it and acknowledge it. And our higher mental body, I see it as the great connector of life. It's like at the airport, the air controller. It actually sends the messages out and hooks up with the universe. So when people say, oh, the universe brought me so-and-so, or I asked the universe for something, it actually goes up through our higher mental body first and goes out. Our higher mental body connects to the universe where there is a match of that energy and picture, and then draws it to us. So there's so many important ways for us to work with our higher mental body, and I'll speak about that another time. So breath of fire through the nose, and don't worry about your tummy, just focus on your brow point and see if you can feel the opening and the expansion above your head. Here we go. This one's great if you just have to quickly energize. We'll do it again in the set. We have to quickly energize ourselves. If I'm about to go on stage or speak to people, or if I'm between sessions and one person's just gone out the door and the next person's arrived early, as I'm going down the hall to open the door, I'm cleansing out the last person, getting ready for the next person, and lifting my energy up, and so I can be there to completely welcome and welcome this next soul that's arrived. So in and out through the nose, an energizing breath, and enjoy. Here we go. Yummy, lovely, yummy, lovely. The next breath is the cleansing breath, or the rebirthing breath. Of course, an old favorite of mine. I've been a rebirther for over 40 years and healed epilepsy I had for 24 years with this process that I was told what I had, the epilepsy was incurable, and I'd have it the rest of my life and be on all those horrendous drugs the rest of my life, which I wasn't willing to do. And so the day I learned this process down in California from the Holistic Health Institute, Leonard Orr, Sandra Ray, who had just brought it back from India after receiving this from Babaji in the Himalayas, the great eternal guru who has said that he will be here on earth until all beings are free. His version, if you will, of the Bodhisattva vow, which is the similar in Buddhism, to remain until all beings are free. So Babaji sent it back to the West for us to have in the great opening of the West, because we have the time, the privilege, the resources to really do this work and share with others. So the rebirthing breath was first called that in the 70s, mid 70s, and then it became holotropic breathing. Stan Grof took it, called it holotropic breathing in the 80s, introduced a lot of music into it. Then transformational breathing was next with Judith Kravitz, and then vivational breathing and breath wave. Beautiful breath wave is occurring now with Robin. There's many versions of the same thing. Cleansing breath, it means it's a circular breathing pattern. The in-breath is emphasized because that's where the work is, if you will, but the exhalation is just relaxed out or dropped out, and it sounds like this. So it's like a waterfall. The in-breath comes up and then it falls over. And then we pull it up and then it falls over. And that's why it's called a cleansing breath or a circular breathing pattern. What the cleansing breath does is stirs and activates wherever there is emotion held in the body or physical or psychological holding in the body. It is a very, very powerful, powerful breath. As far as I'm concerned, it will take you wherever you need to go to cleanse this life, all lives, past lives, and open you to the full power and potential of your divine self and align you with your mighty I Am presence and be in the future now for moving forward into standing in the great allness that we are. I could talk all day about this, which I do when I give workshops on this, and because it's so phenomenal. It's specifically designed to release the emotional body And as I was mentioning to you before, the emotional body are the layers of emotion of this earth walk, the accumulation of the layers of this earth walk that have are laid on top of our true self, our inner self, our soul nature. Our mighty I am presence is our source, our divine source that pours down into us, drawing from the center, the great central sun, drawing down into us. So it's our spirit, if you will, and our grand cosmic, our internal self, our great soul self that wants to rise up and come up is the record of our earth walk, is the journey of this earth walk, the accumulation of the wisdom of the unfolding of ourselves. However, it has been layered on top from this current life and anything left over from last lives, and it is heavy weight on our soul. And these layers we can breathe off, and this is the breath that's designed for that, the cleansing breath, rebirthing breath, and all the other variations I named in respect and honoring of the lineage of this breath that came to the West from Babaji in India. So we use the breath to clear down through those layers. And as we do, and every time we do, there's a lifting, and every lifting provides an opening. And every opening allows for our deep soul nature to come up to inform us from the deep wisdom of our soul, and our great I am presence, our spiritual knowing comes down, and there's the revelations, the ahas, and all of that. And we open back up to our greater creativity and vitality. So all the emotional content weighs us down. What depression is repression of emotion. So this is one of the most important tools for your kit. And let's just do this for a little bit together. But I will say a couple of things about this. In terms of going into the deeper dive, unless you are familiar with this breath and are familiar with breathing yourself on your own, I highly recommend that you find a really qualified rebirther or breath worker, someone preferably that has been doing it for a good 20 years, and look at the quality of their life. Are they in joy and fulfillment in their life? But you want to make sure you you find someone who's really qualified to assist you through some of the deepest, darkest hells that get held inside, and out into the sweetest, highest places that is our true nature. So it's not about keeping ourselves cut off at our head and trying just to be light and love. We always take the deeper dive, and that's what this work is, to pull out the shadow, but we transmute it. We don't want to marinate in it. We don't want to live in the shadow. It's not the truth of who we are. It's a shadow. But we do want to glean the information from it and unravel it and take the responsibility for what's there and work to transmute it, learn and grow from it, and move forward in life. So that's the great work I do in session work with people. But for now, let's have a little experience of the breath, because just with a few minutes of breathing, if you're holding an emotion that's right on the surface of yourself, just breathing that will give you a release that will open your heart and allow you to drop more deeply down into yourself and feel that place again of all is well. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. And yes, there's lots of beings leaving the planet right now, but I'll speak into that another time. So here's a little of the great rebirthing breath. In and out through your mouth like a waterfall. Let that exhalation fall out and don't push it out. And just a few minutes of this breathing. If there is an emotion there, Just let that emotion come up and out. Let the tears come. If there's any crying, if there's any words you need to say to cleanse that, we put this all in the violet flames to transmute, transform, transfigure, and give it over to the violet flames for that energy to move through. Here we go. Close your eyes. Last one. Lovely. Thank you. More yummy yummies. I'm a breath nut bar. Okay. The third breath, the third of our 3 sacred breaths, is the cleansing, is the relaxing breath. This we can do through the day, and I highly recommend it, because as soon as people get frightened or tense, what happens is they go up in their heads. As soon as we go up into our heads, what we do is we shut our breathing down. As soon as we shut our breathing down, we shut our heart down. The only 2 organs of the body that are connected are our heart and our lungs. This is uber super fascinating to me because of my work. And it lets us really see how when we get tense and tight, we're up in our head, the natural instinct is to go fight, flight, is to hold the breathing. And in so doing, we shut our heart down. Conversely, when we open our hearts up, it is because we've relaxed our breathing, and we've allowed our breathing to relax our bodies, and so our hearts can open. So a really easy process through the day is just to take 3 big breaths and sigh out the exhalation with sound, because it's the exhalation that creates the relaxation. Now, in our culture, people are getting very good at understanding about breathing is important, and the great yoga revolution, meditation revolution, yoga revolution has been so important for that. But it's more than that. It's not the in-breath stirs and activate. It's the exhalation that relaxes. So when I'm out and about in the world in places, when we used to be out and about and in crowds and concerts or parties or whatever, or on the street, and somebody was really anxious, you'd hear somebody say, "Take a breath, man, take a breath," and the person would go, because they were already not breathing, is so tight, and so that take a breath is like kind of filling up like Michelin Man. It's not the inhalation here they need the exhalation. Yes, you have to take breath in, and relax the breath out with sound. That's where the body gets relaxed. It's the exhalation with sound, not just the breath. So we could go, and I could still hold through here if I went, everything relaxes and lets go. So the through the day, the relaxing breath through the day is 3 big breaths and sigh out the exhalation, or even 2. Just feeling it all melt away. Do that with me, 2 of them, in through the mouth, sighing out the sound. Here we go. Or it doesn't have to be quite so dramatic as that, if that seems as dramatic to you. You could be in a business meeting and you notice stuff is going on, head's going, it's starting to get tense. You can do that in a quieter way. You can go, you can do it in a quieter way internally, so it's not noticed, and so you keep your anonymity, because if you're in a meetings, sometimes that's required. So those are the 3 breaths. Let's do a couple more of those last relaxing breaths you can do through the day. And this last part with that is when we put our hands over our heart while we do that, and literally push into our chest, push into our holy heart center, our heart chakra here. When we push in, you actually can feel it so much better. It's like that kinesthetic connection with yourself, getting down inside with self. You can really feel it a lot better if you push your hands into your heart. And so as I push my hands into my heart to feel my own inner connection, I pour my love into all of your hearts and remind you that this too shall pass. And use this time really well, because we want to come out of this stronger and fuller and more capable and more ready, and ready to jump back into spring, the whole new next version of ourselves. And so, beloved family of humankind, as I mentioned to you last time, I've reframed that to here we are, the ever-evolving family of kind humans. Namaste, dear friends. Be well. Namaste, brothers and sisters. Stay blessed. Namaste. Take good care of each other.